Yeah, this has been a dream come true. As we've gone through this process, this was the only one. This was the only one that we saw, man, this could be a place that we could be here for a while, right? This is the type of place that ultimately you want to try to help and build and make it better. And that's why you coach. You coach to try to help players reach their highest potential to win.
This was a moment of progress, optimism, and confidence that we will achieve the ultimate goal as long as we have the right man. And number two, that man was Liam Cohen. Liam's outstanding body of work speaks for itself. Quarterback development is the bedrock of modern NFL, and Liam has delivered that wherever he's coached.
Hey guys, this is Liam Cohen, just touched down in Jacksonville. Let's get this thing started off right here. 3, 2, 1.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday and a happy Duval to all y'all out there. I'm Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. Tony, I'm not sure what the answer to this is, so I'll ask, did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, my weekend was fine.
Was it okay?
Like I don't get emotional about regular season baseball games.
I was excited.
I know.
Both for my team and your team.
Yeah. It was not a good opening weekend for the Braves. No doubt about that. Yeah.
Fantastic. I went 7-0 in those games that I had a rooting interest in this weekend. So good for me. All right, Dylan Denmark. What kind of school records are we setting with the track and field team over at Baldwin these days?
The 400-meter dash with 50.2 seconds and the 400-meter hurdles with a 57 seconds. Pretty good.
All right, that's nice. So overall, very happy with the meet this weekend?
Yeah, we did that, and we trimmed down our 4x1 time, so we climbing up the ladder.
All right, you got another one this week, or am I mistaken?
We got one tomorrow.
That's what I
got
thought.
one Friday, next
Not
Friday. Yeah.
What's like the regular schedule for track meets? I was never on the track.
Usually
meet.
get one a week,
surprised
but
to
we
know.
got 3 weeks left in the season. April 25th is our districts, and then it's district, regional, state. So we coming down to it.
What track event do you think I would have excelled at?
What was your give me your measurables?
Oh, back then?
Yeah.
Skinny as a beanpole, bro.
Probably 800.
High school, like 6'3", 190, maybe?
Oh, yeah, that's 800. That's 800
Okay,
meter
I
mile.
can see that for me, actually, Tone, because I didn't mind running distances. I was never going to out-sprint anybody. But I did have the great idea, I'm going to earn a track letter by picking the event that nobody does, and I'll be the only one, and they'll have to take me.
Sure.
And then I realized pole vault required some degree of upper body strength. That was like,
That's really hard.
well, I guess that's why nobody does it. At least I didn't. So anyway, all right. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Liam Cohen is at the owners' meetings today and spoke just a little while ago, spoke extensively, as a matter of fact. So we'll turn some of that audio around for you and really, I guess, just get a few of his impressions, Tony, about how they handled free agency, where they are, because we, I think, philosophically understand what they're trying to do and build this team from the bottom, improve the roster from the bottom up at the moment. But, come the end of April now in 3.5 weeks, it's time to add a little star power to this roster.
No doubt. And, I've only read about a few of the comments, interested in hearing what he had to say here in the last hour and a half, 2 hours down there at the owners' meetings. But I read the one comment that was something along the lines of basically every waking moment's been spent with Gladstone, and that he's learned a lot. He knows a lot more than me about the scouting with all this. It's like, okay, it's the owners' meetings. So you only get so much that is new. Right? You get a little bit of reaction to, we haven't had a chance to talk to him directly about some of the things they've done.
Sure.
So that's a little bit interesting, but there's nothing that's all that new, right, for everyone to react to at this point. They'll be asked about the rule changes coming up and how they feel about those different things, that are going to be discussed down there at the owners' meetings. But it's kind of this middle ground, between free agency and the actual draft. And it's one more availability for all these guys. And here in 2.5, 3 weeks, they'll sit down and do whatever luncheon they're going to do. this year before the draft, and we'll ask a bunch of the draft questions that they'll have to
big
answer.
Answers to, yeah. And as they're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they make themselves available. It's more about, thought process and how you go about it. They're not going to tell you how they have their board ranked, nor should they. They'd be crazy.
That'd be nuts.
To even approach anything like that, and should keep their mouth shut on their opinion on all players in this draft. I mean, you could talk about in general, like, because it's not a big secret. Right? Defensive tackle's a deep position. Running back's a deep position. There are certain positions that are deeper than others. That doesn't give away your draft strategy.
Like, it was surprising this weekend, not that they would answer it this way, but that Tennessee's coach, when asked about the top prospects in this draft, would say, yeah, it's pretty much a 4-person decision that we're making.
Right.
It's
Do
like,
you
we
think
don't
he
know.
had any idea that the Jags picking 5th? Did he say that for that? Honestly, like, because that's something I would have done, you know what I mean? And I wonder how much snark is involved in something like that.
Right, and even the second quarterback name, you kind of go, yeah, right.
He's the key. I've come to the conclusion Shedeur Sanders is the key to this whole thing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because whether he goes or not doesn't necessarily push Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter down to you with the 5th pick, but it might be the most realistic way to develop a trade market for the 5th pick, right? And like Bill Barnwell does a piece every year, all trades mock. In other words, basically projecting what would be a useful trade for each team along the way. If they were to do one in the first round, what would make sense? Going up, going down, whatever the case. And for the Jags, with Shedeur Sanders presumably available in Bill Barnwell's mind, it doesn't mean he will be, obviously. We're going to look at a few mocks today from CBS Sports. One had him going 3rd. The other one had him falling down to, I think, 26th to the LA Rams, okay? So opinions are all over the board on where he's going to go. But the idea was the Jags could move back to 9 with the New Orleans Saints coming up to jump the Raiders and the Jets to make sure they got Shedeur Sanders. All of those teams have a starting quarterback in place, but as we saw last year, just because Kirk Cousins was in place in Atlanta didn't preclude the team from drafting Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th pick. Same thing could go for the Raiders with Geno Smith and drafting Shedeur Sanders. Justin Fields basically has a glorified 1-year deal, right? A little bit of a puffed up 1-year deal with the Jets. Now, Aaron Glenn is saying he's ready to break out and become a superstar. What else are you going to say, right? I mean, you're 3.5 weeks away from the NFL draft. You don't want to give any smoke to the idea that you may be honing in on a quarterback with the 7th pick if you are, in fact. So anyway, had him moving down there. And I do think that that is probably the prime mover at this point for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, look, Travis Hunter might be a prime mover as well to get teams interested, but you might just be interested to pull the trigger on him yourself.
Yeah.
You're not going to be on Shedeur Sanders. And if you can drop back and you like the board and say, all right, you know what? If I've got 4 guys here or 5 guys here, and I know at worst if Sanders is coming off the board, I'm going to get one of these next 4 on my list. And if you feel like Ashton Genty is going to go, then maybe it's a 3-man list, whatever the case may be. Depends on the compensation. In that piece, he floated the Saints 2nd, coming back to Jacksonville, and the Jacksonville sending one of their 4th rounders. Either one of those 4th rounders, send them the highest one. It's on paper, on the chart, a good deal for the Jacksonville Jaguars if they were to do something like that. Are you kidding me? I'd take another top 10 pick in round 2 in a heartbeat to move back to 9, me personally. But then again, I'm not married to the idea of drafting Mason Graham here. I saw this piece over at ESPN as well. I don't know if you saw it. Favorite team fits for 20 top prospects?
No.
Do you expect the Jags to be mentioned as a favorite team fit for any of the top 20 prospects?
No.
I was pleasantly surprised because I agreed with you. All we had to do was scroll Shedeur Sanders to the Browns. Okay, fine. Very next one, Travis Hunter to the Jaguars, Tony, is the pairing, the favorite team fit for a top 20 prospect by the name of Travis Hunter. And they went off on basically how he would change their secondary and make it one of the best potentially in the league and having a package of plays on offense. And that's whole part of the thing. How would the Jaguars see Travis Hunter if they did take him? Do they see him as the answer to compete at outside corner? Look, they have options at corner. They have better options to me at corner right now than they do at wide receiver beyond Brian Thomas Jr. You got him, and I can't count on anybody else, including De'Ami Brown.
Yeah. Look, it's wide receiver is the more open spot. The Hunter thing, as we've talked about since we began discussing him, right? Potentially with the Jags at 5, what exactly would he do? I flip back and forth on what I would even want to see them do with Hunter if they drafted him. Right now, I lean more towards play him at corner and have a package of plays for him at wide receiver. That's more where I'm leaning now, but that may be influenced by I'm listening to different people talk about it, right, at different times. I saw Greg Cosell talking specifically about that on a podcast he did last week where they were doing wide receiver breakdowns, and he was given, his top wide receivers, and he hadn't mentioned Hunter yet, and he was asked, why haven't you mentioned Hunter yet? And Cosell was basically, I think he's more likely to be a corner wherever he lands in the league that has a sub-package of plays as a wide receiver, and he's about the 5th guy that I've heard talking about that in the last 2 weeks, exactly that way. It's where I lean right now with how I would use Hunter.
I think it's the most obvious way to make use of his dual capabilities.
Yes.
Right? I other than playing, it's hard to imagine. Although, look, it's what New England did with Troy Brown, right? He was primarily a wide receiver, and then he would play like their nickel corner spot for them, and to the point where he became more of a nickel a little bit, but he really was primarily a wide receiver to start, and they mixed him in packages on defense. So it's not like it's impossible to do it that way. It just seems more obvious. We had the Deion Sanders model from years ago. Deion locked down corner, and he was such a talent that, the Cowboys, among others, wanted to get him on the field for some opportunities because Deion with the ball in his hands was almost unstoppable. The question was, how did you get the ball in his hands on offense? Travis Hunter, by the way, had, I think, the second most receptions of 20 or more yards in college football last year. There are plenty of opportunities to make plays if you can get the ball in his hands. So today, we're asking some of this draft-related stuff. And again, Josh Edwards of CBS Sports going to join us coming up in about 25 minutes. We'll look at his multi-round mock from last week. I kind of liked it for the Jags. But the question here, do you think it's more likely that the Jacksonville Jaguars trade back from pick 5 to get more picks, trade up from pick 36 to get another first rounder, or stand pat with what they have in the NFL draft? Not what you want them to do. I think a lot of people would love the idea of them moving back, me included. But part of this came up because Kyle Stackpole had a mock over at CBS on Friday or Saturday. I was looking at it over the weekend, and a lot of times I don't get past that 5th guy, right? I'm like Mason Graham, all right. And it's fine, Mason Graham. I get it. Mason Graham, really good player. I'm just saying it's a little boring seeing the same name over and over. So he has Mason Graham to the Jags. I'm like, all right, fine. And I think I was scrolling down. I forget what it was, maybe to see where Ted McMillan went, something like that. And I decided to go all the way to the end of this. Maybe it was Shooter Sanders because he's the one who had him falling to L.A. at 26. And lo and behold, there at pick 32 were the Jacksonville Jaguars, having executed a trade up, giving up 36 and 107, one of their 4th rounders, to move up to secure Emeka Egbuka, the Ohio State wide receiver. And so you wouldn't have a 2nd-round pick, but he would be your 2nd-round pick and, considered one of the top 3 to 5 wide receivers in this draft. Yeah. And you make sure you get him. And all of a sudden I felt like, all right, so we ate our vegetables with Mason Graham, and now we got some excitement there, a little steak, a little sizzle with a wide receiver there, Tone, and they desperately need help, I feel, at least for a guy that we can count on, that we can all, as supporters, fans, whatever you want to call us, of the Jacksonville Jaguars, feel like I've seen this guy get the job done, and his name is not Gabe Davis. Because we've seen Gabe Davis get it done, but in Buffalo, and we've soured on his first year here, obviously. De'Ami Brown, we haven't seen get it done for any extended period of time in the National Football League.
No, right now, 3 weeks out from the draft, 3.5 weeks out from the first round of the draft, I think in my mind, if I'm ranking the needs as far as the need for them to address positions in this draft, and given the needs that we're talking about here, safety is going to be down on my list generally because safety's down on my list, right? Like looking at it from the how important is the positions we're talking about here, wide receiver may be at the absolute top of my list of things that they have to figure out how to address. That doesn't mean that I'm desperate for them to do it at 5.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have to. I think in the first 2 days of the draft, I want them taking a wide receiver at some point in those first 4 picks that they have right now. I want them taking a wide receiver at some point in that. The idea of trading from 36 back to the end of the first round to get a guy like I'm all
that everyone
board.
has in like their top 3 to 5 range, right? And that depends on if Travis Hunter's included.
If they figure that kind of thing
I agree.
out.
There are other receivers that I'm starting to at least be open to with pick 36 that don't fall, like, Ibuka, Luther Burden, those guys presumably gone. Ted McMillan, obviously, going to be gone. Matthew Golden being the other one who's probably going to be gone, along with Travis Hunter. So are you open to taking one straight up at 36, even if that value feels like it falls somewhere between 36 and 70, but are you, how many of these guys do you like? How many guys do you think can come in and contribute significantly right away?
Yeah, and it's recognizing, in my mind, how big of a need that is, that if Ibuka was to fall that far in the first round and the Jags made a move to go, look, we'd want this at 36. Like, he would be an obvious priority for him if he got into the top of the second round there to just make the jump, make the move, pull the trigger right now. They have the ammo to do it, especially for that small a jump. You're talking about moving 4 spots? So that costs you what, a third?
Cost them a fourth in that projection.
Easy.
Right. Yeah, with the extra couple of thirds that you've got, and you can still move around the board a little bit. And the value, well, why not just wait and see what falls to you? Well, you do get the added benefit of the 5th-year option, potentially.
Yeah.
So you can control that player on his rookie deal without going the franchise tag route for an extra year, simply by taking him at 32 as opposed to 36, because that's obviously only available the first-round picks. All right, when we return in a moment, Liam Cohen at the owners' meetings. Let's hear just a little teaser for you to get things ready. We'll hear the extent of what he had to say this morning later in the program in the second hour after 11 o'clock Eastern time. Josh Edwards, about 20 minutes away from CBS Sports, talking draft and more with you, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here, chatting Sandy real estate question of the day. More likely that the Jags trade back from 5, up from 36, or stand pat and do neither. That's your question. It's out there, and you can answer it in a variety of ways. 641-1010 on the phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. YouTube virtual studio chat is always open and available, or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Duval.
It's Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. Get loose in the corner and tight on the straightaway.
He got loose.
Way loose. This Sunday at Darlington.
This is going to be tight right here.
NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Dream Finders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Go inside your home team's locker room with Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline.
Check out my blog at 1010XL.com
so you can catch all the news and nuggets you need to know.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball opens this week at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Come early tomorrow for the opening day street carnival and stick around for post-game fireworks, all presented by Roland Reach Plumbing. Don't miss Thirsty Thursday and fireworks Friday and Saturday. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 50% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Man, a lot of time. We've spent almost every waking minute together throughout the last few weeks, honestly. It's really just been us together with the help of some others as well that have been part of this process. But it's so easy to talk to him. I mean, he breaks things down to such an elite level of simplicity for me because he's a lot smarter than I am. And so he's able to break down the draft, understand it as well as anybody I've heard have these conversations. We've got guys in buckets of where we're trying to look for them, and he's been able to map things out for me to be able to understand at a high level.
All right, so it's going to be collaborative, Tony, right? But, I mean, there's always different areas of responsibility, right? Like, I don't think James Gladstone's going to go, here's how I think you should run 3rd and 7, right? I mean, like, that's Liam Cohen. He's coaching the team.
Yeah.
So Liam Cohen, admittedly, hey, I don't scout like a scout. Mm-hmm. I'm not a scout. I'm a coach, right? I've got my opinions. I see players. I can tell you what I like, what I don't like. But here's a guy in James Gladstone, according to Liam Cohen, is taking it next level in terms of his knowledge. So Liam Cohen's going to go, here's what I need, okay? I need, maybe for instance, maybe a big body guy. Sure, I want him to be able to run, but I need a big guy who can get me some red zone jump balls opposite Brian Thomas Jr., give us a threat, do some of the dirty work, maybe give me Jaden Higgins or something like that. Or maybe Gladstone goes, that sounds like this guy, or that sounds like that guy, or that sounds like the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, as far as Tony Baselli go, I don't hear, I don't think Tony is in terms of this as in the weeds as these guys. I'm sure he's got his opinion. Yeah, I want to build through the line of scrimmage and all that, but Tony's not a scout. Tony's not a coach. And in terms of best overall decisions for this franchise, and he's got a lot more different kind of things on his plate, I think, than these two guys do. It's a three-man brain trust, but it's a James Gladstone-led proposition in the draft.
The NFL draft, and this thought just came to my mind listening to Cohen discuss Gladstone and him talking about putting different things in different buckets to make it easy, right? To figure out what direction you want to go, trying to figure out what you want, like defining these kind of things. It made me think of, the NFL draft is like the world's most complicated word search where you get to determine what words you're looking for. It's one of you have to define the direction you want to go with what you want to find here. And when you run out of whatever that thing is that you really highlighted, we wanted this bad, right? And then we get to a point where we've scouted all that. This is where the value on that ends, right? And we have to pivot to something else. That's NFL draft, right? You don't always get everything you want. You just have to know what you want and exactly what you're looking for, so you might be able to get a value that other teams don't see on these particular traits, whatever they happen to be. But you have to know what those are while you're going through the process for it to make any sense, for there to be any cohesion, ultimately, when you're actually in the process on draft day. You have to know what you're looking for.
Absolutely. I mean, and the best teams don't wing it on the fly.
No.
They certainly don't have an owner who listens to a homeless man who tells him to draft Johnny Manziel. I mean, that's the legend of Jimmy Haslam,
yes,
right? I mean, like that's part of the story that he brought to the table.
Scouting on Madden.
Talking to this guy, who do you want? Right. They don't scout on Madden ratings and speed factor and all those different things. They scout on the film and results and character as well.
Yeah. It doesn't mean the Madden scouting, like someone can't say, I saw these ratings for him on Madden and I'm really impressed. And you go to the GM and he says, okay, well, yes, those things are impressive about the player. That matches, right? Like you might be able to get those two things to actually work hand in hand on occasion, but it doesn't mean because he was really good on Madden, that means that's why we're going after him.
Right. It can't be
these
the
things are
owner's
good.
Kid going, hey, man, I play a lot of Madden, which I'm not talking about our situation with Tony Khan. I'm talking about the Jets situation that he would say, hey, look, this is the Madden rating. Well, the scouts probably, whatever the Madden rating is, great. If it matches ours, because we're going with what we decided after watching their games and how they played in college. By the way, the 2025 1010XL NFL Draft Guide is out. Just came out. You can go to 1010XL.com. You can download it. It's absolutely free. With limited contributions from yours truly. Did you do a top 5 by position?
I did.
You did?
I think all three of us did.
I did not. No.
You did?
No, because I don't watch film. I don't watch all these guys. I told them, look, I can give you, seriously, I can give you top 5 guards. I'm guessing. I'm going off somebody else's work. I'm not watching film on all these guards.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm part of the roundtable discussions and things like that, but I don't feel like I can tell you who the 4th best safety compared to the 5th best safety in the country is. I'll do my mocks, and I have names that I like. That doesn't mean I have any kind of draft ranking when you get past a certain point. I have a feeling of who I want for number 5. I'll tell you who I like when I see what the board looks like at 36 and things like that, but I can't tell you who the 3rd best defensive tackle compared to the 4th or the 4th compared to the 5th. I can't break it down like that, and I'm not that guy. But there are plenty of people here who try to get that done. So check it out over at 1010XL.com or on the 1010XL Twitter handle. There's a link to it there as well. Let's get one more in from Liam Cohen, and we'll hear plenty more coming up in the second hour today on Jaguars Today, as we'll talk a little draft next. How do you build trust with your relationship with your quarterback, with Trevor Lawrence, being that you're in it together for the first time?
Yeah, I think just being able to have honest conversations. Like, we had some real hard, at times, honest conversations that allowed us to, in times of crisis, be okay, right? In times of adversity, have real fluid conversations, because it gets heated. You know, Bakes yelled at me. I was okay with that. You know, we had a good conversation, we moved on, but you know, every relationship's different, and I think that's what's important, is you learn something from Matthew Stafford, from Jared Goff, from all these guys, and Baker, to be able to take for these relationships moving forward.
Bakes. He's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have one of those cutesy nicknames for all the guys on the roster. Trevy.
It's a Trev.
I hope, Trev, we could all get with Trev. That's that's an easy one. But look, I think Trevor Lawrence wanted a fresh start. You know, you don't want to always have to restart the offense, but I think Trevor Lawrence is excited beyond belief right now with the fact that it's the combo platter. They rip things out by the roots. They've got fresh vision. He's seen what Liam Cohen did for Baker Mayfield in that offense and hopes he can bring a lot of that success right here. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to put my complete trust in Liam Cohen until proven otherwise or given reason to think otherwise.
Yeah, look, Trevor works hard, right? And his rookie year, everything was absolutely as bad as it could be for a young player coming into the league. The chaos that was surrounding the organization that during his entire rookie year, and that he's the guy who has to go to the microphone every week, right? The quarterback doesn't get to skip the press conferences. He's the guy who talks right after the game. He's the guy who talks on Wednesday every week, right? And so with all that chaos going on, he had to deal with that. He's the one that they have access to ask about it, given all that stuff. It was so much fun his second year. Third year, what the heck happened the back half of that season? Again, he has to wear the collar on that. And last year was a bunch of the same. They never got out of whatever happened to him at the end of 2023, right? That never changed for whatever reason during the season last year. And he's the voice of the locker room. He's the one who's answering all the questions about that. He's never been shy about having to do that, but I think he works his tail off. And if they're going to change things on offense, whatever work needs to be done to get that installed, I think Trevor will put up that and more to get the team to whatever level they're capable of getting to on offense.
All right, well, more from Trevor's head coach, Liam Cohen, in hour number 2. We'll talk draft with Josh Edwards of CBS Sports. Straight ahead, you're listening to Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's not set to the frequency. It's right here. Hello. No. Wrong frequency. What's the frequency, by the way?
1010XL. Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Hey Jacksonville, Lauren here from Helmets and Heels. When it's time for new tires, look no further than Big Chief Tire. Their experts will help you quickly find the right fit, ensuring a safe and comfortable ride. With quality options, fair prices, and quick installation, you'll be back on the road in no time. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your appointment and roll into 2025 with even greater confidence, guaranteed. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Jaguars Today.
You're settled into a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Spring pickleball, tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? Hurry, time is running out. March is almost over. You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Sign up at sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all, from mowing, edging, fertilizer to irrigation and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight, but it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
This is Hayes Carline for Physician Guided Weight Loss. I'm down over 25 pounds already this year, and I feel great with no side effects, all thanks to their amazing technology, fast setup, friendly staff, and their proven results. Plus, a firm pricing structure means there are no rising costs as you go. If you're ready for a leaner body ahead of the warmer weather coming, call my friends at Physician Guided Weight Loss at 257-4344. That's 257-4344, Physician Guided Weight Loss.
Tired of supermarket produce that's traveled thousands of miles before you get it? Treat your family to farm fresh, Florida-grown fruits and veggies delivered right to your home with Doorbell Farms. No supply chain issues or questionable origins, just seasonal produce handpicked from local farmers. Subscribe monthly and enjoy the best local farm produce delivered right to you. Sign up now at doorbellfarms.com, connecting real people to real family farms. Doorbellfarms.com.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith here with you. Jaguars Today. Draft rapidly approaching. Tomorrow will be in the month of April. Owners' meetings going on a little bit later than they usually do. Usually they're wrapped up before April gets done. But regardless, the offseason continues apace, and we're in that mode now where we're trying to look at all the different combinations the Jags could put together to improve their roster. And along those lines, Josh Edwards at CBS Sports put together a 3-round mock last week that caught our eye because it was different, Tony. It was a little outside the box, which I appreciate because I get bored with seeing Mason Graham to the Jags. Not that it would be a bad pick. I just like to see some different permutations leading into it. Josh, good morning. Thanks for taking a few minutes out with us today.
Yeah, I mean, happy to be here. Happy to hear that you also get bored with the mock draft process because it's been going on for several months now. So definitely have to keep it fresh every now and then.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love a mock draft. I'll click on every mock draft out there on every site. So I'm obsessed with it. But at the same time, I look and I like the fact that you did a multiple round mock so we can see how you can put some different things together. But let's get right to it here at the top. Cam Ward going number 1, Abdul Carter 2. You had Shedeur Sanders to the Giants and then Travis Hunter to the Patriots. I think this is the most likely combo of 4 players. Maybe Sanders slides, maybe he doesn't. But many people, Josh, in that scenario are just auto-selecting Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, to Jacksonville. You went a different route with a player I like a lot, but I wonder if they couldn't get, if they move back a little bit. Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. What was your thought process on giving him to Jacksonville?
Yeah, and to be fully transparent, Mason Graham is someone that I have given them pretty frequently to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I just wanted to mix it up a little bit because I find myself getting stuck in the monotony of just putting a player in one position. Because if we knew everything, there would be no reason to do mock drafts. I mean, there are people that are incredibly plugged in. They have these feelings about which teams are going to take which players. And at the end of the day, we don't know much of anything. I mean, even the best, most plugged in people are very wrong when it comes to mock drafts. So I try not to get bogged down in what I think will happen. I try to mix it up a little bit. And that's where I landed on Jalen Walker because you look at Trayvon Walker, you look at Josh Hines-Allen, 2 guys that are powerful. Josh Hines-Allen, of course, has a little bit more twitch to his game. I think if you throw somebody in there like a Trayvon Walker, it just gives you more flexibility to rush the passer. You can put Trayvon Walker inside, do those NASCAR-type packages, bring pressure from a variety of different angles, and, really heat up the opposing quarterback, which is going to create bad decisions by that quarterback, which, can help you hide some of your deficiencies in the secondary and stuff like that. So I think just building depth among the pass rusher room and being able to apply pressure consistently to the quarterback is something that would just help the team as a whole.
Outside of Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, generally considered the 2 best position players in this year's draft, we've heard Mason Graham described by some as maybe the safest pick in this year's draft, given where his floor will be, not necessarily the highest ceiling, but a really high floor potentially for him. Why would or wouldn't you agree with that description of Mason Graham as a prospect?
He's been incredibly productive, which is one reason why I think you could say he has a really high floor. You kind of know what you're getting. He's a fast-paced player, high motor, somebody that is just going to give you everything that he has every single snap. He is traditionally lighter for an interior defensive lineman. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he was about 290 pounds at the scouting combine, which is a little bit lighter for an interior defender that is possibly going to be taken in the top 5 overall. So I understand why there would be some hesitancy to that conversation. But in this particular draft, I think having that conversation of safe, high floor versus the player that, is potentially boom or bust, someone that, like Shamar Stewart, for example, the pass rusher from Texas A&M, does not quite have the production that you would expect from a top 10 player. But we saw at the NFL scouting combine that he's one of the most athletic players in this draft class. So how do you kind of square that? And in this particular draft, I think when you're kind of lacking the true blue chip talent at the top, you mentioned Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter Jr., but it's not a really deep class in terms of true difference makers at the top. So I can see a lot of decision makers saying like, hey, let's not screw this up, especially for somebody that this is their first draft. Let's take the double instead of trying to swing for the fences and get a home run our first year. Let's just get some players that we know can contribute in the building, and I think Mason Graham is one of those players.
When you look at Jalen Walker out of Georgia, who you did mock to the Jags there, pass rush in the top 10, nobody's going to bat an eye, but he's going to do that more as a sub-package rusher and I guess play linebacker on base down. Some have described him as a little bit of a tweener with his size around 6'1", 240. Is there enough down in, down out value to take that guy in the top 5?
In today's NFL, I think there is. I think there's more acceptance for players of that variety. Nolan Smith had an incredible impact on the playoffs just, a couple of months ago for the Philadelphia Eagles. Will McDonald broke out for the Jets as a former first-round pick. I think there's more acceptance of players that are a little bit unconventional. But I think you can keep Jalen Walker in there most of the time as well because he's not big, but he's kind of wiry, strong. He gives you a little bit maybe more than what you would expect from his frame. And when you look at Tampa Bay coming from where Liam Cohen was, they had some of those smaller sub-package type edge rushers that I think he may be inclined to add to his own defense. So, it's all about how you want to view it because then you look at Los Angeles where he came from, and most of the guys that they are adding are pure power. So it's kind of interesting to kind of mix what he had in Tampa Bay versus the Rams and trying to figure out what path forward this franchise might take.
If the decision was coming down to Mimbo or Will Campbell, who would you pick and why?
I'm more comfortable with Will Campbell. I think it just depends specifically if you're looking for a pure left tackle versus a right tackle. I think Mimbo could make that transition. I still have some issues with his hand placement, hand usage, stuff like that. But, I had similar issues with Tristan Wirfs coming out in his draft. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect evaluating the position either. Mimbo, of course, is, he's got a very stout base. He's powerful, incredibly athletic. I think teams are truly split between those two players. But for me personally, just relying on the tape that I've seen to this point, I think Will Campbell is a cleaner projection to the next level, especially at left tackle. And that's where I would personally settle at this stage of the process.
Talking here with Josh Edwards of CBS Sports. Josh, I think opinions on where Shedeur Sanders is going to come off the board, when he's going to come off the board, are all over the place right now. Kyle Stackpole, your cohort over there at CBS, mocked him 26th this weekend to the LA Rams. You've got him going 3rd to the Giants. But from a Jaguar perspective, we're not going to presume Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter fall out of the top 4. But if Sanders were to get through the top 4 with the Raiders, the Jets, and the Saints maybe played off of each other to some degree, and I know they've all got veteran quarterbacks to get them through this year, would that be the best-case scenario for Jacksonville to try to create a trade market for the 5th pick if it's Sanders who's sitting there still available?
Potentially. At the same time, if the Browns, who are quarterback needy, and the Giants, who have no long-term vision at the position, pass on the player, I would be a little hesitant that maybe it's more of a league-wide view as to how they view Shedeur Sanders. At the same time, I've kind of compared it to Will Levis, his situation throughout this process, because there was legitimate interest in him as a top 10 player, but it was for a very specific team or two. And when those teams went in a different direction, there was a little bit of a slide. Of course, he, lasted until the 2nd round. I could see something similar happening to Shedeur Sanders. If he does not go to the Giants or the Browns, I don't know that he's going to be a fit for everybody. So I could see him sliding maybe a little bit farther than what people anticipate. I still think he's going to be taken in the 1st round. I know at points there have been people that have said that he might fall out of the 1st round. I don't see that as being likely. And I still think that he's going to be taken in the top half of the 1st round, but where is kind of difficult to project. So if he's still available there at number 5 overall, and there is interest from presumably the Saints and maybe the Raiders, although I have a difficult time expecting them to part with much draft capital just because they've already got an older quarterback. Mm-hmm. It seems like they're invested in contributing and competing this season. So how many draft assets are they willing to move for a team that has so many holes? I think that would be difficult to see for me personally. But the Saints, I could see them making a move. I think he's Kellen Moore's type of quarterback. So that would be a situation to watch. And then I don't think the Steelers or the Seahawks or the Rams would move up that far, but those would be the next 3 teams that kind of stood out to me.
Given the conversation we've already had here about the depth of talent at the top of this draft, do you believe Ashton Jeanty is worthy of a top 5 draft pick?
Yeah, I do. I think he is a difference maker in a draft that lacks difference makers. So if you're, again, trying to come away with a player that could be top 10 at his position, I think the conversation is Abdul Carter, it's Travis Hunter, and then it's Ashton Jeanty. I think those 3 players are probably the strongest in that regard. Jeanty is somebody he's dynamic as a rusher. He did not have as much pass production in 2024 as he did in 2023. But he has shown that he's more than capable of contributing in that way. He's good at pass protection. He's just an incredibly well-rounded player. So, again, I think if you're a team that is looking for somebody that you kind of know what you're getting as opposed to swinging for the fences, and maybe you don't feel like you're that far away from contention, I think Jeanty is a potentially good option there. I understand why the Raiders would be linked to him. I understand why the Bears would be, chomping at the bit to potentially get a Jahmyr Gibbs type player in that offense. So I think he's definitely going to have some suitors, and I think the league is more open to taking a running back in the top 10 than maybe what people would expect outwardly.
Yeah, it swings back and forth, doesn't it? And after the year Saquon had, of course, if I could draft Philadelphia's offensive line along with Ashton Jeanty, that would help a lot as well. For folks who may not remember us discussing this last week, Josh Edwards' other picks for the Jaguars included Emeka Egbuka, the Ohio State wide receiver at 36, Deion Walker, the Kentucky defensive tackle at 70, and Ozzie Trapillo, the Boston College offensive lineman, with pick 88. Likelihood that Emeka Egbuka and or Luther Burden, who you both had available at 36, what's the likelihood that at least one of those guys is sitting there for Jacksonville in round 2?
I think both are worthy of first-round consideration, but the problem that I have when I go through mock drafts is that there's not a lot of teams that have wide receiver as a primary need in the back half of the first round, and specifically as slot-dominant type players, which is why it's kind of difficult to find a soft landing spot for both Egbuka and Luther Burden. So I think it's probably very likely that one of those 2 players is available for Jacksonville there in the top of the second round, and I think they would be perfect complements to what you already have in Brian Thomas Jr.
Who is the toughest player to evaluate in your mind in this draft class?
Jalen Walker is certainly one of them. For the reasons that we've already discussed, I don't think he's going to be a perfect fit for every team, because he lacks the traditional size in the position. Donovan Ezeraku, the pass rusher from Boston College, is someone that was kind of a slow burn from me because I think to win in today's NFL, you have to have a baseline of power as an edge rusher. And I thought for portions of the season, he was just not converting speed to power. And if you're not able to get off blocks and do the things that you need to do, the occasional pass rush is not going to do much for you. So he was kind of slow burn for me. I think I've come around to him a little bit, but those are 2 players that I think have taken me a little bit longer to kind of see the vision than some of these other players.
Shamar Stewart, man, I'm sorry, 4.5 sacks total in 3 years. I'm like, if you can't get home in college, how are you going to do it in the pros? And he's going to go in the first round based on measurables, but that's probably going to be some other team's issue. You did take Deion Walker out of Kentucky. You do cover Kentucky recruiting. How long have you done that with Kentucky, by the way?
It's been over a decade. I think back to, 2012, I think is the first year that I did it. So, yeah, it's been quite some time. Obviously familiar with Liam.
Yeah.
And, been to some recruiting camps with him and stuff like that. So I think he's definitely going to be very familiar with Deion.
Well, I think with him, that highlights part of the reason I'm open to another position at 5 because the depth of this defensive tackle position in this draft. Different kinds of them, but he's obviously a big space eater. Give us an idea of what the Jags would be getting with Walker. And as a part 2, you're now our Kentucky insider. Is Luke Fortner redeemable as a pro offensive lineman? So take either one in whatever order you like.
Yeah, I do think Liam likes Luke Fortner because he is an incredibly intelligent player. I think I've had the Luke Fortner conversation with folks in Jacksonville a couple of times to this point already, and it's definitely been very touch and go. But I think that he's going to be given a chance to at least compete this summer, and however it plays out is how it plays out. I do think Liam likes him a lot in the way that he kind of approaches the game. As far as Dion is concerned, he's kind of a high-waisted interior defensive tackle. He played hurt this past season, had a back injury. When you have a back injury, it's incredibly difficult to get low and win pad level and play with leverage, which is already difficult for somebody that is almost 6'7". So he was facing an uphill battle this past season, but he's somebody that when he's playing his best football, he can disrupt the game at a very high level. So I have a difficult time seeing him getting out of the top 75. But at one point I would have said I have a difficult time seeing him get out of the top 50. So I think he's one of those players that once you get past, the top 50 overall, if I'm still looking for an interior defensive tackle that I think can make an impact on the game, I think Walker would be one of the first names I called.
Why Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren among tight ends in your latest mock?
I think Colston Loveland gives you a little bit more pass-catching threat down the field. I think I don't want to say more of what NFL teams are looking for right now, but it's kind of in vogue, just his frame, his skill set when talking to folks in the NFL. Tyler Warren had a little bit of a shorter wingspan, not like concerning by any means, but I think that is at least part of the conversation as well. So I just think Colston Loveland, with his pass-catching dynamic abilities, he's going to be a better fit for certain teams. And again, that's kind of the conversation for a lot of these teams when, discussing numerous positions is the fit. Wide receiver, we've got taller wide receivers that, could be complements to some player or some teams that already have kind of smaller options that, can push the field vertically. And there's just it's a lot of complementary skill sets in this draft class. And that's definitely been part of the consideration anytime I've mocked Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland.
All right. Well, Josh, we thought you certainly did an interesting version of a 3-round mock draft. And I don't say that, in a derogatory way. I really do like Jalen Walker a good bit. I've really come around on him. I'm not sure I'd take him right at 5, but, if you're not projecting a bunch of trades around the board, I think it's a name to keep an eye on here. But obviously put some thought into it, which we always appreciate. And I hope you're right that one of those top 5-ish receivers is available at 36. But excellent work. We encourage folks to give you a follow at Edwards CBS on the X platform. And hopefully maybe we could grab you one more time before the NFL draft gets here for real in 2025. But thanks for your time this morning.
Yeah, of course. I think I have a 7-round mock draft before the actual draft, so I can promise you it gets more interesting between now and April 24th.
I'm already penciling in dates in my mind, Josh. You'll be hearing from us. We appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, of course.
All right, there he goes. Josh Edwards of CBS. Let's break here, Tone. We held him over a little longer because I thought he had some really good responses to all that. And by the way, when you hear that about Luke Fortner, a chance to compete, everyone gets a chance to compete, right? And likes his approach to the game. Doesn't mean, obviously, the Jags felt they were deficient in several spots on the offensive line, and they've reflected that in their signings of 4 linemen of the 10 guys that they've added so far this offseason. We'll come back. Tony will take us around the league. And as we get deeper into hour number 2, we'll turn our attention to the head coach of your Jaguars, Liam Cohen, speaking extensively this morning at the owners' meetings. This is Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Should we do it?
Let's do this.
More Jaguars, more Gators, and more Jacksonville. 1010XL, Jack Sports Radio.
Here's Linda Beaver.
It's a new year with new goals, but let's face it, not all resolutions are easy to keep. Maybe you promised yourself you'd eat healthier, but pizza still seems like a better idea. Or you said you'd read more, but your favorite show just launched a new season. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we can help you keep your New Year's resolution. We offer the biggest selection, best prices, and the easiest car buying experience. Let's make a resolution to visit Beaver Toyota or Beaver Chevrolet, where we'll wow you with a new ride for the new year.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified, starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts, sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner. With honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Dream Finders Homes Monday.
Jaguars Today.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
ET here, and spring in Clay County means one thing: the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. In today's world of retail, how has a store like Underwoods stayed viable against the big national stores?
Frank, that's a question with a direct answer. At Underwoods, we've never aspired to be the biggest. What we've always tried to do is be the best. When you take this approach, there's some things that come to mind immediately, like fine quality merchandise bought by buyers that are experts, high levels of service delivered by a staff that are helpful and know what they're doing. Then there's some things that people don't really think about at all. Like the finer a gem, the more rare it is. And these gems are not mass producible because they were made by God millions of years ago. Because of that, there just aren't enough of these for the big multi-store retailers to buy and put into their merchandising schemes. So at Underwoods, we buy these finer, rarer gems and create jewelry pieces that the people in Jacksonville expect out of us.
When you want the best, it's Underwoods. Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence. Just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 15% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound and Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update. The Florida Gators secured their Final Four appearance for the first time since 2014 on Saturday when they defeated Texas Tech 84-79. The Gators completed one of the biggest comebacks in tournament history, down 9 points with under 3 minutes to go. Third-year head coach Todd Golden was once again pleased with the fight and persistence of his team.
A lot of credit to Texas Tech. They played a great game today. Controlled different facets of the game that we usually do. But credit to our players and our staff. I thought we did a great job staying the course. We executed our fouls. At the end of the day, great teams are as good as their players lead them. And Walter's done a great job all year that way. Tommy's played his tail off for us across every game this season. And I'm really proud of these guys for the way they stepped up and made 2 big threes each down the stretch that allowed us to win and would not have happened without these guys next to me.
Florida will now take on first-seeded Auburn in the Final Four this Saturday with tip-off at 6:09. Listen to the game live on 1010 AM, 92.5 FM. It's 76 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, that was all wasted, Tony. As Molly moved the camera, I did a whole thing like I was, we're in a room. See that earthquake? Where was it? Thailand?
Yeah.
Bangkok. Crazy, right? Like, those infinity pools kind of freak me out anyway when they're that high up, but when an earthquake hits, not a good thing. Anyway, so I was doing some kind of simulated thing like that. And, not trying to mock what happened in Thailand. You know what I mean? Like, when things move around. And anyway, we didn't have the camera switched over yet. So it was wasted. What a freakish scene, though, right? Imagine looking out your window and seeing the bridge between the 2 high-rises snap in half.
Yeah.
Like, what's coming next?
Or they were in the hotel and the water from the pool on the rooftop was like flowing.
Did you see the guy? There's like a window washer.
Yeah.
Who was like on the corner of the building.
Just hanging on, yeah.
Yeah, and it just all came down, and like there was a lot of water that came out of that pool because the amount of water that they showed from the ground level that hit was insane.
Oh, yeah.
So, man.
Terrifying.
Then again, there are plenty of people who go, you live in Florida? How do you deal with hurricanes? Well, for one thing, we live in a non-hurricane prevalent area.
We do.
Is part of it. But I get it. Like, if you're in the hurricane zone, every year, I just hate hurricane season. All it takes is one rogue hurricane. But, you got earthquakes, you got tornadoes, there's natural disaster.
Everyone's got their
for
thing.
everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like upper Midwest is like the safest spot, but then you're just dealing with blizzards all the time. Even if you're not getting like these, extreme, like a tornado that'll rip your house apart.
Right.
In that moment. You just get buried in snow for
it's
a month.
not a hurricane, but you deal with
you can deal with your own
real winter
issues.
weather for 3 months out of the year. Yeah.
Anyway, hope everyone's safe and sound out there. We dealt with a little rain this weekend, no darn. All right, so why don't we take a look around the NFL with the owners' meetings going on?
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Houston has signed linebacker E.J. Speed to a 1-year, $5 million deal. Las Vegas has signed linebacker Devin White to a 1-year deal. The Buffalo Bills and corner Christian Benford have agreed to a 4-year, $76 million contract extension. New England has released linebacker Juwan Bentley after 7 seasons there with the Patriots. The Baltimore Ravens have gotten a 3-year contract extension done with head coach John Harbaugh that will keep him under contract with Baltimore through the 2028 season. And Adam Schefter reported yesterday that sources have told him that San Francisco is unlikely to find a trade partner for wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. By Tuesday, Ayuk is due a $22.85 million bonus by this Tuesday. The same sources reportedly told Schefter that if the 49ers can't get a trade done by Tuesday, the expectation is that he will play this season for San Francisco.
Yeah, because all that guaranteed money is going to be kicked in, including next year, which, by the way, is guaranteed for injury.
Yeah.
So they can't cut him if he can't pass a physical and get out of it.
Yep.
So he's stuck with that money, and anybody trading for him would own that additional $26 million guaranteed.
What doesn't make sense?
I mean, look, not their fault that he blew out his knee.
He got hurt. Yeah.
Right. But you look back at it now, and you had the opportunity to move off of him, and you see what Juwan Jennings was able to do for that team last year, which was pretty impressive. See what Ricky Pearsall was able to do right at the end of the season, particularly. He had that really big game. And, you know now that they're kind of in a soft reset to some degree with San Francisco, maybe like a 1-year kind of reset, that whole thing. They would have loved to have had some more draft capital and not owed all that money to Brandon Ayuk. But, hey, that's part of the game, evaluating when you should give out those contracts and trying to avoid the bad ones as much as possible. Why don't we get to, before we get back to Liam Cohen, spoke extensively this morning at the owners' meetings. Let's get back to today's question of the day with a 10-10 take.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
I do think this question's a little difficult because we focus so much on 5, right? We don't focus on 36 as much, and we have no idea what the Jags board is going to be like and who's going to be available at 36 and who's going to entice them. And maybe they say, hey, there's a top 25 player on our board. There's one left, and he's sitting there at pick 32. Do we go up and get this guy now, and how much draft capital are we willing to spend to do that? But your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day, not asking what you want to have happen. Tomorrow we may do something along those lines for the Tuesday top 5. But do you think it's more likely that the Jaguars trade back from the 5th pick to accumulate more draft capital, trade up from pick 36 to get a second first-round draft pick, or stand pat with their first 2 picks in the 2025 NFL draft? I'll say it's a little under 50% overall, but I think the right single answer is stand pat. Don't I just because for a couple of reasons. A, who's the player that's going to draw the crowd, that's going to draw the trade interest for a team to jump up there? To me, if it's Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, well, why are you passing on that guy, right? So if one of them happens to fall to Jacksonville because somebody took an offensive lineman, I think the Jags would probably take that guy. If it's Shedeur Sanders, as Josh Edwards pointed out, the issue is, well, a couple of quarterback-needy teams passed on him. Is that reflective of what the general consensus is? Does he feel more like a guy you want to be trading up yourself from the top of round 2 into the end of round 1? I saw a mock projected Cleveland to do just that, as a matter of fact, and I thought it was ridiculous on the compensation because I didn't think it would get anywhere close. They picked Abdul Carter and then traded up to 15 to take Sanders. I do think if they're going to move, it's going to be a team coming up for Sanders, likely. I think that's the most likely. It doesn't mean it's the only scenario, but I think ultimately either through a combination of their own desire, and they may feel like, hey, Mason Graham is that third blue chip non-quarterback in this draft, or maybe one of those offensive tackles is, and we're going to get him right now, or maybe even Ashton Genty is, and we know we're not going to get him if we trade down past 6, at least we presume, because everyone thinks the Raiders are going to take him. So stand pat, which is getting 47% of the vote, I think is the correct answer. People are split on whether they're more likely to trade back or up. It's about even, about 26% each. But I think not doing either one of those is, I think, significantly more likely for the Jags. I might rank trade up from 36 higher than I would trade back from 5. I desire them to trade back from 5.
Yeah.
I think they're more likely to trade up from 36 because they've got the capital to do it, the extra 3rd and extra 4th round pick this year.
I think it's way more likely they trade up from 36 than down from 5.
Okay.
Just given what this draft looks like, the odds of there being a player that anyone wants to move up to go do, like it's kind of a one-man thing. As you mentioned with Shedeur Sanders, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I think even in that situation, it's not likely that 5 is the spot that they're rushing to get to make that kind of thing happen. There'll be other teams in business because obviously Jacksonville's not a threat to take Shedeur, right? Like there are different kind of things. I think it's trade back from 5 is the least likely by a wide margin for me in this poll. If it was which do I like the most, I think it would probably be trade up from 36 because of what I want in this draft. As I mentioned off the top of the show, it's that wide receiver thing. And if one of those guys is still there at the end of the first round and you can make that small move to go get it and it costs you a 4th round pick to make that happen, I would be so much in favor of them pulling off that kind of move, but I do think that's less likely than them just staying pat. And I also add the possibility that could be they don't trade back into the first round. They just trade up a spot or two at the top of the second round when it actually gets started.
All right, that's fair. Right. Maybe I should have made that less of a string, but it feels like if you're going to move from 36, part of the deal is you're trying to get that fifth-year option. Yeah. But sometimes that board is set overnight.
Reset it.
And you're like, okay, who's standing out like a sore thumb, and you do get some action.
Yeah.
I feel, though.
Would it be stunning if overnight you get ready for whatever happens and one of those wide receivers is still there at 33, right? And Jacksonville says, okay, we'll give up X to get there, get our guy. Okay.
It wouldn't be stunning. I feel like we think this is going to happen every year, though.
Yeah.
And I think we need to task Dylan Denmark with going back and looking at the last 10 drafts or so and seeing how often the first pick of round 2 was actually dealt. I bet it's low.
It's probably low.
Right? I think there have been trades in the top 10.
4 or 5 of those picks, they move a lot, it feels like.
It happened last year.
It did happen last year?
Yeah.
Because they moved up.
The Panthers got Xavier Legette, the last pick in the first round. They traded up from 33 to 32.
Right, but I'm talking about overnight, once we know who's picking at 33. Did that pick get dealt the next day? I'm talking about someone moving up into that spot. I'm not talking about somebody moving up from 33. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Right? Because, yes, I think that pick can change hands, but I'm talking about, okay, the board, everyone's got a chance to catch their breath. Mm-hmm. They see who's standing out there overnight and how many deals get done that Friday for a team to move to the top of round 2. Not coming up from the top of round 2. So, although it did happen, you're right. There was a trade involving that one. I'm thinking more along the lines of, what it would take for somebody to come up or the likelihood of somebody coming up. Because I do feel like we think that this is going to happen every single year, and it doesn't. I think most teams go, well, you know what? There is a guy standing out there, and I'm going to take it.
We got our board, too.
Right. We got our boy. Exactly. So, all right. We'll work on that. But let's get into a few things here. Man, there is a ton of Liam Cohen sound here. Do we have something on Travis Hunter, Dylan, that we do not? Okay. Apparently, he told Action Sports, though, this morning at the owners' meetings that he envisions Travis Hunter as being a two-way player in the NFL. Now, what that exactly means, if the Jaguars were to get him, hard to say. But let's see here. Boy, there's so much to dig into. How about
Such
this?
A loose comment. Who doesn't view Travis Hunter as a two-way player?
I think some people would say, I don't know, man. I think he's best served just concentrating on one position early, and we'll see down the line.
They're not going to never use him doing the other. I think there's very few teams that don't view him as a two-way player. Like, that's one of those wherein the guy's saying the very safe thing to say, at this point in time, and anyone saying Travis Hunter is a two-way player, it's yeah, he is. And I would imagine you have to have some kind of plan in place to use him on both sides of the ball, even if you're going to feature him more on one or the other. He's going to play both.
I got you.
To some degree.
I got you. I wonder, and we'll never know, but if there really were two Travis Hunters, the corner and the wide receiver,
where'd they'd
fall
where the
in this draft. I mean, because some of the pundits will tell you they have him as number one in both categories.
Yep.
And so I don't think one of those versions would fall that far, at least. And maybe I wonder if in today's game, what's more valuable, the corner or the wide receiver? It's probably the one you don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the one you're looking for.
The one you're looking for. All right, so let's come back. We'll try to sort through. We've got 30 different Liam Cohen sound bites that we won't get to all of them, but we'll try to pick out a few important ones for you as Jaguar fans to hear, as he spoke extensively at the owners' meetings today. So we'll get into that straight ahead. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Get in the game.
On one, ready.
With 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Superstation.
Tired of drafty, noisy vinyl windows? It's time to say goodbye to vinyl. And hello to lasting comfort with Renewal by Andersen Windows and Doors. Our exclusive Fibrex windows are 2 times stronger than vinyl, more energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. No more warping, no more cracking, just beautiful, durable windows that stand the test of time. Right now, get special financing or save big with limited time discounts. Call Renewal by Andersen today and say bye-bye vinyl. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com. Don't wait. Upgrade today. License number CGC 1527613.
Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it? Or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes,
official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
E.T. here, and it's time for the Taste of Golf at TPC Sawgrass, April 23rd. Join me for fine cuisine from chefs from the top golf clubs in our area. Craft cocktails, games, and unique auction items will be present. This is one of the most impactful charitable events in our area. Come network with a sophisticated audience who's passionate about golf and its values, while impacting the youth in our community. All proceeds benefit First Tee, North Florida. For tickets, go to tasteofgolf.com. Come on, somebody.
Looking for an engagement ring in Jacksonville? Here's a pop quiz. Which Jacksonville jeweler cuts out the middleman and guarantees the lowest price on any diamond? I'm thinking it's... No, it's Beard's Diamonds. Question 2. Which jeweler in the town center has thousands of designer engagement rings and a multi-million-dollar diamond inventory? I'm gonna say... No, it's Beard's Diamonds. Question 3. Which jeweler in Jacksonville offers an unbiased diamond education, a lifetime upgrade, and free maintenance for life? How about Dude, you should have learned by now it's Beard's Diamonds. Final question. Which jewelry store in Jacksonville hasn't been sold a few times and is currently not owned by a national conglomerate? Beard's Diamonds? Ding, ding, ding. Now you're getting it. Beard's Diamonds guarantees a better selection, an unbeatable price, superior warranties with no corporate rule books, no commission salespeople, and no chain store atmosphere. Beard's Diamonds, Jacksonville's jeweler. St. John's Town Center.
She's seen and heard all over 1010XL's video and social channels.
Whether the big cats are at the bank or on the road, I'm there too. Follow my updates all season long, on air and online.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
All right, it's Baloo. Let's get real for a minute. Losing weight isn't exactly easy, especially when your life involves being surrounded by good food at every event imaginable. Believe me, I get it. But thanks to Awaken 180, I'm already down 10 pounds, feeling sharper, more energized, and never hungry. This isn't some juice diet or starving yourself nonsense. I'm eating food that tastes great, even when I'm out on the road. Here's the beauty. Awaken 180 gives you the game plan to handle real-life situations. I've been hitting plenty of events lately, temptation everywhere, and I've managed to stay on track effortlessly. That's huge. 10 pounds down, energy way up, hunger totally controlled. So if you're tired of carrying around extra weight, tired of diets that don't work, it's time to check out Awaken 180. Take it from me, Hacker, Dempsey, Hayes, basically everyone. It's easy. It works and it's real. Do what we did and choose the solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, let's hear a little bit from the head coach of your Jacksonville Jaguars as Liam Cohen spoke at the owners' meetings this morning. Owners' meetings. We'll be voting on a variety of things. Tush Push said to be getting some serious pushback, Tony, which I think is kind of silly, especially the way the proposal is written. Cannot immediately, block like immediately after the snap. Like, how long do I have to hesitate
they
before
said
I
like
push
you can't have a
Jalen
guy.
Hurts?
Yeah, you can't have a guy pushing right at the snap.
Right at the snap. Okay, so he snaps. He runs to the line, and a half second later, I can push. I mean, like what determines? You know what I mean? Like I feel like you're gonna potentially run into some of those situations where they run a tush push or a modified version of it.
Yeah.
And then the ref's like, no, you pushed too soon, and 5-yard penalty, and
it's silly. If it was an automatic play, then all 32 teams in the league would be running the play on every one of these short
They're really good at it.
Right. They are equipped to do it better than anybody else. They shouldn't be punished for happening to be equipped to do it better than anybody else. It's a good play.
Can't go deep to Randy Moss after he scored twice today. No longer allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Back
silly.
in the day, obviously. Anyway, they'll settle it one way or the other. We don't really use the tush push.
Yeah, Saquon fantasy owners would be very happy.
I wonder.
Yeah.
To a degree, but does it mean they wouldn't still just run the quarterback sneak? I would imagine their quarterback sneak is still better than most teams because Jalen Hurts.
They would run it till it gets stopped.
Right.
Like, that's the first thing they're going to try. Even when they change the rule, that's the first thing they're going to try. And why shouldn't they?
Yeah. All right. Let's hear from Liam Cohen on Jaguar-related issues. What does this draft need to look like to make him happy?
Yeah, I think, we've talked about intangibly rich, like really good football players is what we're trying to find. I mean, that's guys that truly love and live playing football, right? To that extent, right? We want them to be both mentally and physically tough. Those are the things that are going to be kind of non-negotiables for us when it comes down to it. The rest, man, fast, strong, long. Like, we're not even trying to use those adjectives or, those words in this whole deal. We're really just trying to say, like, do we want them or not? Like, do we want the player or not? Do we want to coach this player or not? Try to keep it there and then be able to get into it. So mentally and physically tough guys that love to play, that ultimately, man, they're just loving to compete. Coming from maybe some good programs that have won, that know how to do things right. I felt like that was something in Tampa last year that really helped that rookie class. They all came from really good programs that helped them get onboarded pretty quickly.
Yeah, so not too many Clay Webbs or whoever at a Jacksonville State, but I'll take him in the 6th. But you get the idea. I do think this is a kind of just, again, drawing the bright line departure between traits and just a baller, right? You could have both. You could be a guy with great traits and be a super productive player, but he wants guys that love football, and I get that. But I can love football. You can love football. You got to have a certain amount of high-end athleticism to go with it. But I think what he's saying is, he's like, we're not using fast, strong, long, whatever. Like, we're not going to get into, hey, this guy's vertical is this, or this guy. Yeah, I know he didn't have any production. I know he takes some plays off, but man, you can't coach this size speed combo. Well, maybe that's what his college guys found out too. You can't coach this guy, right? You don't know. And I guess I don't think it's his intention to draw a line between this regime and the last one, but I think in effect, in answering it that way, he is doing that.
Yeah, the intangibles are all the stuff that you can't physically measure, right? Like, it is the attitude that he's going to be bringing to play in the game of football. So they're going to stress that more than I would think like the measurements on an offensive lineman's arm length. They're going to stress, what does he do on the field? What does he present more than, he might be a quarter inch too short.
Right.
Like that's not going to be that much of a factor, it doesn't sound like, for the Jacksonville Jaguars going forward. Liam Cohen also was asked this morning with what they got done in free agency, specifically along the offensive line. We talked about it when the season ended. They have got to get a more physical, bigger, better group up front, and Cohen was asked about how much more physical they believe they got the offensive line with the moves they made.
I think that's, yes, physical is a mass and size issue, but it's also a mentality. It's also the way it's coached, the way it's taught, the way it's preached. So I'm kind of going to hold on evaluating that part. Do I think we got competition in depth? Absolutely. I think we got some good, sound, solid players that are going to help elevate that floor. But let's go wait and see what it truly looks like when we actually go and compete and do things the way that we're going to do them.
Well, and you could take that comment and put it towards Mason Graham as well, right? Like in terms of physical, it's not just the size. Does he engage? Is he an aggressive player? Whether he's 320, 296, 310, or any other measurement that he ends up being, he isn't necessarily going to fit the top of everyone's measurable wish list. And that doesn't mean he can't be a really good physical player because of his mindset. And speaking of Mason Graham and others, it seems like an obvious question. I like to hear his obvious answer. Do they plan on addressing defensive line in this draft?
I think ultimately you're looking to add some competition in there. We've got some really good players down there. I think, we've got 3 first-rounders, right, on our defensive line currently. So 3 guys that are going to have some good years, hopefully. They're hoping, elevate that room, and we'll continue to evaluate it. But, absolutely, you're looking to add definitely somebody to the D-line, however that thing plays out, inside or outside.
And Eric Armstead included in that conversation right there that you can have been a first-round pick, though. Are you going to play like that? Or is this a comment saying, hey, look, man, this is a really good player that we have a lot invested in. Maybe the last regime didn't use him properly, but we feel like he's going to be a big part of our success along with those 2 edge rushers that we did invest first-round picks in. Time will tell, but I would be very surprised if they don't draft at a minimum 2 defensive linemen with their 10 picks.
Yeah.
And I think over 2.5 is a lot more likely than under 2, right? Yes. I think that I could absolutely see 3 to 4 defensive linemen if you include all the edge rushers in the mix there. But certainly I would think a defensive tackle and an edge rusher at a minimum, if not multiple at each position coming up. A little bit more from Liam Cohen on the other side. How do they replace Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk? What are his thoughts on the process that led to letting those 2 guys walk here and leaving some holes to fill in the Jaguars offense? We'll discuss that and more straight ahead as we wrap up Jaguars Today on this Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. A symphony of sweat, grit, and glory. Dive into the action and live the moments. For play-by-play, it's 1010XL.
Need a fast casual option that's healthy, fresh, and delicious? Choose the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Gyros, salads, hummus, and more made completely fresh right as you order. Off 210 and St. John's Parkway. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
All right, gentlemen, we've trained for this. We've battled the elements. But if there's one thing we can't afford, it's letting the heat take us out before the big game.
But coach, the AC at my house is busted. I barely got any sleep last night.
Well, Johnson, you should have called Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. They're the real MVPs. Now let's cue the cool music.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town.
Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Bernardina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and and must try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com, Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
Dream Finders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. The showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Soccer continues to grow on the First Coast, and so does the need for better coverage. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley
on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Tuesday nights at 6
on 10:10 a.m.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's First Coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, coming down the stretch here on Jaguars Today, we're just kicking around ideas for the Tuesday top five. Probably will land somewhere along your top five scenarios for the fifth pick, assuming that Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter would require a trade up. Otherwise, everyone's going to go, I'll just draft Travis Hunter at five. I'll draft Abdul Carter at 5, and then it becomes the top three, right? So if you want one of them,
You got to move.
You got to move, and you got to give a little something extra to get them. And maybe, Tony, we even say, I don't know, it might be getting a little too complicated. If you move back, assume you can't get Mason Graham, right? But that's not necessarily the case. Like if the Jets want to jump up from 7, you might get Mason Graham there. So it may be like trade back is one scenario without getting any more specific, or otherwise give us the players that you'd be interested in. I don't know. We're working on the details of it. At some point, we'll send out a poorly thought out plan later on this afternoon. And, by Wednesday, it'll all be forgotten. All right. A few more from Liam Cohen on the offensive weapon front. We'll hear what he thought about what went into letting go of Ingram and Kirk, as well as what his expectations are for some of the guys who are going to be asked to replace at least some of their past productivity. So what about letting go of Ingram and Kirk, Liam Cohen?
Yeah, always hard letting go of good football players, man. I have a ton of respect for both of those guys. I've done some really good things here. Those were not easy decisions. And ultimately, you hate to let go of good football players. But, production, right? Those guys did have a good amount of targets, receptions, some critical plays in different moments of different years. So there's some chemistry, some camaraderie there, I'm sure, that we have to, continue to work on. But I think you saw what BT and Trevor were able to do last year. And then obviously with some of the guys in Parker, Washington had a great connection. And you start to see some of these guys evolve. We're like, okay, this allows us to do some different things within our roster structure and feel confident about where it's going moving forward.
Yeah, doesn't really answer a whole lot of the why, right? Just explains, it was tough, to let these two guys go. We know. Like, it's not easy to let go of players of the caliber of Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, but they made the decision to do that. It means letting go of Evan Ingram, that obviously the tight end room for now is going to be running through Brenton Strange, a second-round pick a couple of years ago now. And Coach was asked about what they see in Brenton Strange this morning.
Yeah, Brenton plays the game the right way. I'll say that for sure. I love the way he competes through the whistle, right? He does it through the whistle, plays with an edge. He's got some twitch. He's strong. He'll get his hands on you in the blocking. I really appreciate it. He'll elevate just by alone getting more reps, and getting him on the field's a good thing for us. And you can tell he's hungry, wants to continue to get better, and showed some really nice things last year, especially after the catch, doing some nice things of breaking tackles and getting extra yards.
So, look, we all hope Brenton Strange has a phenomenal season, right? I mean, I hope everybody who puts on a Jaguar uniform has a great season. I do think it's curious, interesting, whatever label you want to adhere to it. I see some of these mocks and some of these discussions about the Jags in different areas, and they go, well, since they no longer have Evan Ingram, they've got to replace what Evan Ingram used to do. Well, if they wanted that, they had Evan Ingram at home.
They did.
Right? I mean, hey, we don't need to spend money on the McDonald's burger. We got a house burger that's just as good, and his name is Evan Ingram, and he does have chemistry. So if that's all we were looking for, we picked up $6 million in cap space, which as of now we haven't used on anything, then fine. We could have had that, and we would have had that built-in chemistry, and I don't think anyone would have batted an eye. And I think what we've all determined is they've got a vision for what their tight ends look like, and they're more that well-rounded guy. Maybe you're not going to ever have that Kelsey in this offense, but you're going to have a guy that can get down and dirty in the trenches.
Through the whistle.
And, right, that as well, right? The attitude and the physicality and all those things. So, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing Tyler Warren in the top 10 for the Jaguars.
I do too.
I just don't know if that's going to be enough of a focal point. I'm not saying he wouldn't be a great fit for the type of tight end they're looking for, but that seems like an awful high selection for me for a guy that I don't think is going to be a featured part, like a top-end featured part of the passing game.
Especially in light of all the Genty discussions we've had here in the last couple weeks. Like, if you really have both those options on the table, which you will at 5.
I'd rather have Genty.
Right. Easy.
Yeah, he's going to touch it 300-plus times.
Yeah.
And I get it. Tyler Warren will be out blocking for him or whomever on those occasions, and all that's well and good. Johnny Mutt, go block somebody.
Yeah.
I can't count on ETN or Bigsby to give me what I would presume that Ashton Genty would do for this offense. Again, not at the top of my wish list, but at least I can understand the thought process that would lead there. Finally, on De'Ami Brown, he'll be tasked with replacing some of Christian Kirk's production. Give us some thoughts on his addition, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, you look at somebody that's able to attack the field at all three levels. He can go down the field on the post and the go and the pylons and be the top shelf, but also you can throw him a screen and he can go and do something with it, right? Like, I can't coach that. I can't coach you to go and make three people miss after you've caught the ball. We can try. I'll teach an obstacle course, an open field running, sideline stiff arm, but at the end of the day, we're getting the play so you can go be you with the ball in your hands, and that's what he can do. Hopefully be able to help us at all three levels. And he's hungry. You know, he's coming off of a successful end of the year. He wants to continue to do that. And, that's what's been fun about having those conversations with him.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
If De'Ami Brown becomes the player that they want, though, it may make him harder to keep here in Jacksonville. Now, maybe they approach him during the season. They're like, wow, this is really working great. And let's get a 2 or 3 year extension done, but that's some of the risk of a 1 year, $10 million deal. You're not tied to him beyond this year.
Yeah.
You're not tied to him beyond this year. He's not tied to you either, and he's never going to get franchise tagged. I mean, are you kidding me? He's not ever. I don't think there's a season that De'Ami Brown could have realistically that would entice anyone to place the franchise tag on him and give him the average of the top 5 highest paid wide receivers in a game now.
Yeah, can't imagine what that would be.
Which is, right, it's in that 30 million range. I saw this from Cristiano. Dylan, did you come up with any numbers on the trading up to the top of the second round?
Not yet.
I'm going to say that's a not yet. Cristiano sent me something, our South American producer. Cristiano, if you can find your way to Jacksonville on a full-time basis, we'll have a talk. The second round of the 2015 NFL Draft kicked off with a trade. The Giants swung a deal with the Titans to move up to take Landon Collins in that. New York got Tennessee's 40th overall pick, or Tennessee got New York's 40th overall pick, along with 4th and 7th round selections to move from 40 to 33. So, maybe a 4th rounder to move from 36 to 33. Although, are you dealing with Tennessee? You know what I mean? Like right. That's the thing. If I'm Tennessee and the Jags are coming up, I have to hate that player that I think they're going to be taking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not potentially giving them access to a guy they wouldn't otherwise have. That's just smart business, I think, unless I think, yeah, they're going to come up and get a player, and we really think this guy is overrated. But how do you know who they're coming up for?
Yeah, you don't know.
At that point. So I do. It's interesting, though, the couple of those CBS Sports guys had Ibuka coming to the Jaguars, or Ibuka coming to the Jaguars. One on a trade up to 32. The other thinks he's going to fall. And if you didn't hear Josh Edwards on with us earlier from CBS Sports, he thinks just based on the second half of round one and the teams that are wide receiver deficient, they don't match up great. And what if Ted McMillan slides a little bit too? How would you rank these receivers in terms of your interest? You can factor in what you think you'd need to pay for them as well. I don't think they'll take Ted McMillan at 5.
No.
But I think if you want him, you don't risk trading back too far.
No.
Right? And putting Hunter aside, he's in a different category, Travis Hunter. McMillan, Burden, Matthew Golden, and Ibuka. And I see Golden all over the ball. I see Golden going at around pick 11 quite frequently.
Yeah. I think, again, I don't know how much my opinion on this is colored by the last thing I heard, about all these guys. But it is one of those things where I think Ibuka fits perfectly with what I think the Jags would be looking for. Right, super smart player, can play wherever you want him to be on the field. He's comfortable doing any of it. And it does feel like he's a name that's been so in the conversation now for so long that it almost gets boring. We talk about it with Mason Graham. I think Ibuka is kind of one of those guys, too. It's why the Golden thing, like everyone kind of gravitates to the Golden thing because that's just been in the last month and a half. Right, that name heated up, and now it's the how high can he go? That's kind of the conversation that's going on around him. Not that I don't think he's worth it, but I think among the prospects in this draft, McMillan would still be the top of my list as far as guys that I'm interested in, but not at the price at 5. Right, you'd have to trade down somewhere in that 11, 12 kind of range, somewhere in there, and then I'd be very comfortable with him. Still my favorite wide receiver in this draft, and beyond him, it would be Igbuka. That'd be the number 2 guy for me.
He's maybe more appealing to me because I think there's a chance we get him late. You know, either the cost of like your second and your fourth is a lot less than the 5th overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, I think the conversation being around as long as it has cooled it off around him. And I think ultimately when you get into the draft, you're going to see somewhere in that 18 to 20 range is where he's going to come off the board because he's that quality a player.
Tommy on X said, would you be willing to trade up to draft Travis Hunter, and what would you be willing to give up? I think that's kind of one of the things we're going to be looking at tomorrow for the Tuesday top 5. Like, what are your 5 favorite scenarios for 5? And assume if you want Hunter or Abdul Carter, it involves a trade up. I'm not going to ask you to get specific. Whatever it is, whatever the chart tells you have to give up. Maybe it's a 3rd-round pick. Would you give a 1st and a 3rd? Would you give up pick 70 to ensure you get Travis Hunter? Is it worth it to you? Some people don't even want Travis Hunter. You know, about 2/3 wanted him over Mason Graham in our most recent poll of that head-to-head about 2 weeks ago. But that would be one of the options tomorrow. Would I be willing to? I think it would depend on the cost. And he said, what would you be willing to give up? Like, I'd give up a 4th rounder. I would. If I knew I was going to get him you know, that pick was on the clock, I think that's reasonable because I want Travis Hunter. I mean, I would absolutely take Travis Hunter. And from the same standpoint, I could see doing that for Abdul Carter as well. Either one of those guys. Is that a better scenario to me than trading down and accumulating additional draft capital? Not necessarily, especially if I can get somebody's 2nd-round pick in the process, you know, trading back to whatever their 1st is and picking up their 2nd and balancing it out. Anyway, we'll work on the final details of the Tuesday top 5. Tweet that out later on this afternoon. Right now, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
All right, Lauren Brooks will, you know, because we can't do it on our show. We'll be breaking down the big storyline of the weekend. Yankees go crazy with their offense. Lauren.
Torpedo bats, baby.
Tell us more, right? Exactly. Torpedo bat. What you know what I love, and I know obviously the Gators will be top of your list, but I love the fact that everyone's calling them cheaters when Major League Baseball has signed off on the bats. That means we're getting under your skin. We're doing something right when you start calling us cheaters when we're not cheating.
Get your own torpedo bats.
I love
Everyone,
that.
every club in the league ought to have torpedo bats today. Once it showed up.
Some of the players said, my bat guy said, hey, have you looked into this? And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. And then you see the results. By the way, Aaron Judge is not using a torpedo bat. He's just destroying the world.
But a lot of the home runs were hit by guys using the torpedo bats.
Yeah, good for them.
But yeah, people,
Yankees are smarter than you.
You know, people already hate the Yankees, and so
love it.
Yeah, exactly. And when
the
Garrett
money ball won't work, guys.
Yeah,
that bat won't work
for sure. When Garrett Cole went down, I think people were like, "Oh, good, I don't have to worry about the Yankees this season." And then opening weekend.
Hey, Garrett Cole didn't pitch till like July last year, and they had the best record.
Yeah,
in at least in the American League.
Did you see what the Marlins did, Tony? I know you did.
I did not.
Beat
the Braves.
The Marlins
I
had.
believe it.
That comes on Friday.
That was the Pirates. The Marlins had 3 walk-offs. 3 consecutive walk-offs.
Really?
Has not happened since 1901.
Wow.
The Brewers did it way back in that early 1900s. Yeah. So tons of good baseball this weekend. Florida finally picked up its first win in SEC play in baseball. It took until game 9.
8 or 9, yeah.
They were 0-8, and then they won the second doubleheader game on Friday. So,
go ahead, Tom.
Oh, and they're in the Final Four.
And by the way,
I thought yes, that is exactly what I was going to lead into. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Final Four discussion
for sure
today, and the owners' meetings as well.
Yep, that we have Jamal St. Cyr joining us at 1:20. He's down there at the NFL owners' meetings, and then also we will talk 1010XL draft guide with Gus Logue. He joins us at 12:40. But yeah, of course, we're going to talk some hoops. Mia's got her first mock draft on the way, so we have a ton to do. And yes, my Saturday night was amazing. I thought it was going to be devastation, and then it turned into elation.
First mock draft.
Yes, Mia's first mock draft on air. Comes up today.
Is she doing like the whole first round? What kind of mock, or is it a Jaguar mock draft?
Jaguar mock draft. Yes.
Oh, I've been doing those for 2 months around these parts. Come on, Mia. Come join us. Mock Draft Wednesday has been a thing for quite a while.
What can I say?
I will be listening, though. Always the 7-round mock for the Jags is always fun to dig into. So
Absolutely.
I definitely want to hear Mia's opinions and thoughts. All right, Lauren, have a great show.
Thank you so much. And by the way, Liam Cohen did speak, and I did hear him say that they have two centers, Robert Hainsey and Luke Fortner.
Well,
so
they do technically have two right now.
They do technically have two.
Not
That have
at the
both been
moment.
in his system before, clearly. So just throwing it in there since I know you asked Josh Edwards about
It's going to be, there's going to be a numbers crunch on the offensive line. I mean, clearly there's going to be a numbers crunch if we're talking about adding anybody in this draft. I mean, you've signed 4 guys, so there are 7 spots you think are locked in. What about Cole Van Lannon? You tendered him, right? And you do have to, at the moment, have a second center. What about Cooper Hodges? Is he a cut victim?
So such unfortunate for him to have both of those back-to-back season-ending injuries. I do think that will kind of change the trajectory of his NFL
Probably
career.
Probably so. But, I mean, it's like you draft these guys, you hope to develop them. You get hurt, and it's the next wave of guys coming in to replace you, know? And I still see some of these mocks. People want the Jags to take, like 2-3 offensive linemen. Start to get into how many are you going to carry on a 53-man roster?
Or do we see, a surprise name? We've already seen Kirk and Ingram go. Do we see a surprise name when it comes to the offensive line get traded?
Possibly, right. There's got to be a
That's what
market
you wonder.
for him,
Yeah.
right? And I think the left side is the most likely. They're not going to trade one of the guys they just signed.
Right.
I don't think they're trading Harrison.
Yeah, we shall see.
All right, have a good show.
Thank you so much.
There you go. Lauren Brooks and the crew with Helmets and Heels coming up next. That does it for us. Tuesday, Top 5 tomorrow. Thanks to Josh Edwards from CBS Sports. Hopefully we'll get our own live report from the owners' meetings tomorrow as well. D-Rock's going to be in studio with us later on this week, reflecting on the owners' meetings and more. We're going to strive to get D-Rock in on this Thursday. I think John Shipley next Thursday. Demetrius Harvey the Thursday after that. And the Thursday after that, it's the NFL draft. How about that? So got a lot to do in the meantime. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Today, and keep it right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.